Welcome back to our study this week in Luke 2:7, and we're talking about how there was no room in the inn for Jesus when he was born. Now, we'd already looked at other reasons why there was no room, not just that there was no room because there's lots of people, but there was other reasons, probably, why Jesus chose to come at that time in that place with those people. There's also the idea that there was other places outside of the inn that had no room for him either. Even throughout his whole life, there was no place for Jesus. And today we're looking at the fact that the inn had no room. Okay, so the inn was probably the upper room or the guest room. And it was probably full, probably due to the census there. There's probably a lot of people around. I mean, they didn't really have like hotels, motels like we do now. You know, it might have been a place of lodging. Some guy had an upper room or some extra room in Bethlehem. Bethlehem's a small town, not a big place. It's not like Jerusalem or some of the other major cities of the Roman Empire. So you wouldn't have like a big place for, travelers to come. Usually, I mean, especially within Jewish culture, we know that they were big on hospitality. Even Jesus uses that as one of his parables. The fact that the guy was locked in upstairs. The guy's downstairs knocking on the door, and the guy has to come down. It's like, my kids are inside, sleeping. Go away. Why are you bothering me at this late hour? And so you have the people, they're locked up in the upper room, and then the guests, and if there was a guest room at all, most places didn't have that. But there was, it was probably full because all the family members who were living outside of Bethlehem had come back. And so there's no room in the inn. There's no room in the upper room. And that kind of just shows what we know all along about Jesus and his kind of foreshadowing of what's to come. Turn over to Luke chapter 2. Did I say chapter 2? I mean Luke 9:58. Luke 9:58 is, probably one of those well-known phrases that Jesus throws out there. He says, and Jesus said to him, foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. So because the guy's like, hey, I'll come follow you. He's like, are you prepared to, not have anywhere to lay down? Because I don't have one. So that was the question he asked to that guy. And so you see there, no one would give up their place for the Lord to lay his head. He didn't have anywhere to go. Now people were helping him here and there. But ultimately, this was not his home, right? He was going to go back to his Father, which is his home. And so foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests, but I don't have anywhere to lay my head. And that was true from the very beginning. Where he's going to lay his head? In a feeding trough. It's not really the best place to lay your head, right? Not probably recommended. I mean, it's like Jacob laying on the rock. Probably not the best, best option. Right? Not the one you would choose. You'd probably choose something different, I'm guessing. Being laid in a manger, not probably the high, it wasn't probably the high point of Joseph and Mary's life. Like, hey, we got to lay our child in a feeding trough for animals. That's what we did. That was amazing. Probably not that. And so you see that idea throughout his life, that there was no room for him. Let's move on to the next question, which is, we'll leave that for last time. But so we'll stop there for today. Next time we'll look at, do you have room? And then we'll see if you do have room, then the world has no room for you. So we'll combine those two together. Those two last questions, those two last ideas. So come back next time and we'll take a look at the next part.